I'm here with Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Alexander, let's go back to the OPCW report, the Syria Douma chemical weapons hoax that has been exposed by a real whistleblower, the work of Jonathan Steele. And it has reached now Tucker Carlson tonight, Fox News. And Tucker reported on it last night. Good on Tucker. Let me play the video and we can comment afterwards. So let me pull up that video. 1 second. And here we go.
Mark Stein, thank you for telling the truth, always. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Tucker.
Well, almost a year ago, about a year ago, the U.S. came very close to invading Syria, lobbed weapons in, as you remember, over what we were told was a chemical weapons attack. Now, new leaks from a whistleblower suggest the entire attack was a hoax. You need to know more about the story. Stay tuned. Repeated efforts to get them out, American troops remain deployed in parts of Syria. If Washington has its way, they will be there until you are old, or even longer, forever. But it could be worse. 19 months ago, Washington was demanding that the U.S. government topple the Assad government completely. Must do it now. The justification for this was a supposed chemical weapons attack in the town of Douma. Now, no one in Washington had seen the attack. No American had seen it. Nobody in Congress could tell you what proof existed that the attack had actually taken place or that Assad's government was behind it rather than some other faction, and there were many, in the country's civil war. But it didn't matter that there was literally no evidence. Everybody in Washington began agitating for regime change war immediately, and especially on the left. Bill Kristol and Max Boot and everyone at MSNBC and CNN, they were completely for it. This show was not for it. We didn't deny the attack happened. We just told people to be skeptical. Universal bipartisan agreement on anything is usually the first sign that something deeply unwise is about to happen, if only because there is nobody left to ask skeptical questions. And we should be skeptical of this, starting with the poison gas attack itself. All the geniuses tell us that Assad killed those children. But do they really know that? Of course they don't really know that. They're making it up. They have no real idea what happened. And now the same people who brought you a dying American middle class, undefended American borders, and endless pointless wars in countries you could not find on a map are telling the president he's got to depose Assad for reasons that are both unclear and demonstrably dishonest. You got to depose Assad immediately. Wait a second. How did it work when we deposed the last 4 Arab leaders? And wait a second, didn't the Assad government, evil as it may be, protect all the Christians? Shut up, they said. You got to do it now. Well, fortunately, President Trump limited his response to another wave of missile strikes rather than sending U.S. troops in to topple yet another government in the region. But now it looks like even that response may have not been justified at all. So last spring, the official report of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, which is the group that monitors chemical weapons globally, said the Douma attack was caused by 2 chlorine gas canisters that were dropped from an airplane. That would suggest the Assad government was behind the attack. Okay. But then last May, a leaked internal document showed that one of the OPCW's top analysts disagreed with that conclusion. He thought the canisters were placed by hand by someone on the ground, which would make it a completely different event. Now, this week, WikiLeaks has published an email from a member of the OPCW's fact-finding team. That email accuses the organization of altering investigators' original findings to make evidence of an attack look more conclusive than it actually was. Sound familiar? Yeah, we've seen this movie before, with tragic consequences. Yet another OPCW whistleblower has argued that on-the-ground evidence points against an attack happening at all. So in other words, America almost attacked a country and killed thousands, untold thousands of people over an attack that may never have happened in the first place, that powerful people may very well be lying about. And by the way, under a different president, and whatever you think of Trump, this is true. Under a different president, say Hillary Clinton, being advised by the Obama foreign policy team, Samantha Power, and a lot of people like Samantha Power with long track records of unwise, indeed stupid decision-making, under that administration, we probably would have invaded. We We recently spoke all about this story because we think it's important with Jonathan Steele. He's a former chief foreign correspondent for The Guardian. Here's the conversation. I don't want to overstate this. A lot of us, well, not a lot, some of us, this show, had suspicions from the outset that there wasn't much evidence this had actually happened. What do we now know?
Well, we now know from this whistleblower who prefers to call himself Alex, we know his real name, and we've got proof that he did work at the OPCW. He was an inspector, one of the team of about 9 people who went to Damascus and to Douma to pick up samples on the ground and to talk to witnesses and check the whole thing out. Now, he took these samples. The main point is that chlorine gas degrades rapidly in the air, so that coming in 2 weeks later, you wouldn't find anything. But what you would find is that the gas can contaminate or affect other chemicals in the natural environment,
yes,
so-called chlorinated organic chemicals. But the difficulty is that they exist anyway in the natural environment anyway, and in water and so on. So the crucial thing is the levels. Were there more higher levels of chlorinated organic chemicals found after the alleged gas attack than there would have been in the normal environment? And when they got back to the Netherlands, to The Hague, where the OPCW has its headquarters, the samples were sent off to designated laboratories. Then there was a weird silence developed. Nobody told the inspectors what the results of the analysis was. And it was only by chance that the inspector found out that 3 weeks earlier, the results had come in and they showed no difference at all. There were no higher levels of chlorinated organic chemicals in the areas where the alleged attack happened, where there's some suspicious cylinders had been found by opposition activists. And so it didn't seem possible that there could have been a gas attack because the levels were just the same as in the natural environment.
Well, I'm confused by 2 points. So first, we were told, and again, sternly lectured, that the U.S. government had absolute evidence that this gas attack took place, A. B, if OPCW knew that there wasn't actually evidence, why did it take a whistleblower to tell the rest of us?
Well, on the first point, I mean, they just rushed, it was rushed to judgment. The missile strikes, which included British and French missiles as well as the American ones, happened about 2 or 3 days after the alleged gas attack. When no inspectors had been on the ground, there was no evidence on the ground. So it was just fabricated, as it were, the reason to go in. It was a rush to judgment. But the second point is that there was no real reason why Assad would make an attack at this stage, because he was already capturing most of Douma and was about to capture the rest of it. He didn't need to go in for a chemical gas attack at that stage.
We've been lied to. We've been manipulated. We knew it at the time. Thanks so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate that. It's a fascinating story. It's an important story. Hope it gets picked up by others apart from just this show. Jonathan Steele, thank you.
Wow. Alexander, your comments. Tucker Carlson at his best.
Well, indeed, sir. And can I just say, he ends that by saying that he hopes that other people will pick up the story. One newspaper in Britain has done so, and that is the Mail on Sunday, the Sunday edition of the Daily Mail, which is a very, very widely read and influential newspaper in Britain, not perhaps quite as high profile as the Guardian and the Times of London, but nonetheless an important newspaper, especially internally. So this story is creeping out, and of course it is all the things that we said in a recent video that we discussed, where we talked about this whistleblower and the fact that he's come forward and that he's described in great detail the pressures that were put on the inspectors from the leadership of the OPCW, including this man, Bob Fairweather, who is this British diplomat who was the number 2, it seems, in the OPCW. And he was basically pushing this report, the report that was made, which said that, that Assad is basically responsible. And of course, we've also learned from this whistleblower of this extraordinary meeting, which happened with various American officials, in which the inspectors felt that they were being put under pressure to come up with the report findings that corresponded with those that the United States and certain Western governments want it. Now, the interesting thing, the big development, what Tucker Carlson is talking about, and what the Daily Mail is also, the Mail on Sunday is talking about, is that we've now had this internal leak, this leak of an internal email that was sent by one of the inspectors to Bob Fairweather. This was the email which apparently resulted in this extraordinary meeting between the inspectors and the American diplomats or American officials. And this email sets out in great detail the concerns of the inspectors, the way in which they felt that the whole investigation has been corrupted, and that there is a major discrepancy between the findings of the inspectors on the ground and the eventual report, and how critical information was being deleted from the eventual report because it was inconsistent with the official story that it was all part of an Assad chemical attack. And moreover, this report also brings out the point that Jonathan Steele makes in that interview, which is that the inspectors had found that the chemical trace, the chlorine traces in the area were such as you would normally find in an urbanized industrial area of the sort that Douma is, and that this is also in fact corroborated by the evidence in the laboratories. So you have a report that says one thing, inspectors that say something completely different, inspectors apparently extremely angry about what's been done and about the way in which their evidence has been manipulated or completely ignored. They're complaining internally, they're providing leaks. But what we're also seeing is a wall of silence descending. Only mavericks like Tucker Carlson on Fox and Peter Hitchens in the Mail on Sunday are prepared to break through this wall of silence. But, having said that, they are people, Tucker Carlson certainly in the United States, Peter Hitchens to a great extent also in Britain, are people who the public does listen to and do read. So, as I said, this information blockade on this story is starting to break down.
Yeah, Tucker Carlson has a huge audience. I believe he is number one in cable when it comes to the nightly shows.
Yes.
At times he passes Hannity. I know they go back and forth, but wow, on Tucker Carlson, that is.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that he doesn't fall back on those typical Assad is a brutal dictator and all those canned messages that we hear from all the mainstream media and all the politicians as well. All the politicians, Alexander, whether you're right, left, conservative, or progressive, they all say the same thing. Assad is a brutal dictator, He gas his own people. Tucker Carlson doesn't touch those.
No.
He calls out Samantha Power. He calls out the fact that if Hillary Clinton had won, we would have been in war with Syria and, of course, Russia. Alexander, for your final comments, I will also read you a small excerpt from The Guardian, which says that the OPCW is now refuting those leaks. Alexander Shulgin, Russia's ambassador to the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW, at its annual forum in The Hague, said the official report into the attack was, quote, distorting reality, end quote. The OPCW Director General, Fernando Arias, defended the report, telling member countries, quote, the nature of any thorough inquiry for individuals in a team to express subjective views. While some of these diverse views continue to circulate in some public discussion forums, I would like to reiterate that I stand by the independent professional conclusion of the investigation, end quote. He was supported by the French ambassador, Louis Vassy, who said the Syrian investigation was impartial, professional, and rigorous. He added he trusted the OPCW team of experts and said his country was providing £1,854,000 to the investigatory team. Annabel Godi, the defense minister, said the UK also had full confidence in the hard-working women and men of the OPCW technical secretariat, adding Britain was confident they would, quote, would continue to work professionally, thoroughly, and impartially. Alexander, of course, this denial.
Well, some people's noses, Pinocchio style, are getting very long, is all I can say. Notice that all these expressions of trust and confidence in the hard-working people who work for the OPCW presumably do not extend to the actual investigators, the inspectors, who actually physically went to Douma, because as we know from these leaks now, those inspectors and those investigators are not happy with the report which was published. As for Arias's comment, note also that he doesn't actually refute the things that these leaks are saying. He doesn't deny the reality of these leaks or the fact that these people are actually people who've been employed by the OPCW. He simply says that he stands by their report and that these people are entitled to their inverted commas opinions. Now, they're not just opinions. These are investigators, these are inspectors who went to Douma, carried out inspections there, and are saying that their evidence, their information has been distorted. That's not an expression of an opinion. That is an expression of a very serious concern. They know what their findings were. They are entitled to have those findings reported accurately. If people disagree with those findings for whatever reason, then they have a right to say why, and those are opinions. We must never make the mistake of thinking that there's a difference of opinion about evidence that findings of inspectors are being suppressed. That is not an opinion, that is a statement of fact.
All right, Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you very much, Alexander. I think that Tucker Carlson follows the Duran because we've been reporting on this for a long, long time now. So someone in his production team, maybe.
He did say that lots of people, several people have been saying it. So when maybe he was including us. Let's think so.
Good on him, though. Good on him.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
I would say
we were skeptical.
Absolutely so. And I would add, of course, that we were skeptical about the story on the day it happened, as in fairness to Tucker, in total fairness to Tucker, was he.
Very good. Alexander Mercouris, thank you very much. Guys, if you like this video, click on the subscribe button down below. Click on that notifications bell. Smash that like. Check us out on iTunes and on Soundcloud as well for an audio copy of this video. You'll find links in the description box down below. Please donate to us on PayPal, Patreon, and Subscribe Star. Your donation helps keep this channel up and running. We appreciate all the people that have donated to us very, very much. And check us out on BitChute and check us out on Duran Video, our own video beta platform. We post everything on BitChute. We post everything on Duran Video as well. And also on Telegram, where we post everything the Duran does, articles, posts, videos, discounts on the Duran shop. Everything goes on Telegram, Alexander.
Indeed so. And can we just say we are incredibly excited by these new platforms. They're doing remarkably well, and they will give us huge freedom to report these things. I mean, some of our videos which have touched on some of the subjects we've discussed in this video have had difficulties when they're being published in places, the normal forums like YouTube and others, precisely because they are sensitive for some people. But when we post these videos on places like BitChute, well, we don't run into these kind of problems. So there you can get our unadulterated views. So we strongly encourage you to go and find us there and search us out. And we are very excited by these platforms, and we think that they will hugely improve the quality and reach of our, I think, already excellent service. And of course, if you go to Telegram, you can find all the information you wish about our shop, our wonderful merchandise, which we sell on our shop. This is, I think it's come around to be my favorite of our magic mugs because it has Sergei Lavrov's picture on it, and he is indeed my favorite foreign minister. He embodies everything that I think a foreign minister should be. He's calm, he's cool, he's thorough, he works incredibly hard, and he never loses his temper, which is something that's very remarkable, actually, in the frankly very fraught situation of international politics today. But you can find lots of other mugs with other emblems upon them, all of them of amazing quality, magnificent porcelain bodies like this one, 15 ounces. I've been drinking my Royal Blend tea from it because it's a slightly colder today, and I've been slightly under the weather over the last few days, but drinking from my mugs has refreshed and reinvigorated me. So here I am, able to do these programs, and not just our marvelous mugs, which, by the way, our viewers who bought them really appreciate and love, but all our great shirts like this marvelous long sleeve t-shirt that I'm wearing with the Duran double-headed eagle there, and you'll also find our great polo shirts, which are incredibly smart and comfortable, and our short sleeve t-shirts and our v-neck shirts, all 100% cotton, all beautifully dyed, all beautifully made. They fit great, they look great on you, and you can also find things like hoodies, things like hats, stickers, all sorts of great things. So help the Duran, go to our shop, buy these great things. The viewers that have bought them, they all tell us how much they love them, and don't hold back. This is the time. Alex will tell you how to do it.
Just go to the duranshop.com. You'll find a link in the description box down below. Alexander Mercouris, thank you very much. Until next time, everybody, take care.